Alright folks, I've been trying to put out several different types of informative videos this year, and it seems like you guys really like them, you're learning from them, you're giving me a lot of feedback, so I'm going to continue doing that through this winter, and I'm going to try to teach you as much as I can. And I know for a lot of you, it's the middle of the winter, a lot of you have lakes and ponds that are frozen over. You probably don't want to sit inside and watch me out here catching 10-pounders. So I'm going to try to take this opportunity to teach you as much as I can. And then hopefully, when winter passes, you'll be able to apply some of these tips and techniques to your waters. So in case you've missed some of these previous videos, I'm going to put them right here on the screen, and also there will be links in the description to all of these videos and all the different topics that I've covered this year. And today's topic is going to cover probably one of the most controversial lures that I've seen in my lifetime, and that's the Alabama rig or the umbrella rig. And I don't want to get into any of the controversial topics, and all I'll say about it is just make sure to check with your local state regulations and make sure that you can use an umbrella rig, or in this case a 5-hook umbrella rig, before you use it. But if you are able to use it, I want to teach you how to use it and which scenario to use it in. We're going to walk you through a lot of my favorite tips and swim baits and hooks, and then I'm going to show you how to use it out on the lake. So this video will be really informative and a thorough review of an Alabama rig. Now we're going to start off talking about the most important aspect of an Alabama rig, and that's the jig head and the hook type. And this is extremely important because some of these Alabama rigs, you may have $40 to $50 invested in one setup, and the last thing you want to do is get out there, throw it, get it hung on a log, or lose it. So let's start off by showing you the different type of jig heads that I use. So this right here is going to be your exposed hook style jig head, and we're going to talk about in a minute the reason you would want to use this setup. And now this setup is going to be your weedless style setup, and as you can see, that hook is buried into the body of that swim bait. Now, just for starters, if you're fishing an open area where there's no structure, there's no rocks, there's no logs, anything down there on the bottom that you could get hung up on, you definitely want to use this setup. Your hookup ratio will definitely increase, and when a fish bites that, as you're moving it through the water, you're almost guaranteed to hook up. Now this style will protect you if you're fishing around logs, stumps, rocks, things of that nature. You're going to want to use something where that hook is buried inside of the swim bait so you don't lose your investment. And I'm going to show you a clip here of some underwater footage that I've taken, and these fish, whenever they strike these umbrella and Alabama rigs, they come up and hit it quick, and a lot of times they'll set the hook on themselves, but you'll also see I miss a lot of fish when using this style of setup. So either you have to go with a better hookup ratio but also a higher risk of losing your umbrella rig, or you have to go with the safer option and the lower hookup ratio. I tend to use this setup most of the time. I don't want to get out there and lose a lot of baits and a lot of money, and I still feel like the hookup ratio is good enough with this setup. But now if you're out there fishing a tournament, or if you're only looking for a couple of bites in a daytime and you can afford the risk, I would go with the exposed style hook. Now my favorite hooks are going to be the Eco Pro Tungsten Freeball jig, and that's a really, really good one because if you can see, that swim bait it has wiggle room all the way around that jig head because of the design on it, and it has a freedom to swing back and forth, and that gives you a really good wobble, and it puts out a lot of vibration and attracts those fish. Now the other hook option is going to be just your straight lead jig head, and the two brands that I like to use are going to be the Gamakatsu 3/16, just a jig head with a 3/0 hook, and then a 3/16 freeball jig with a 3/0 hook. 3/0 seems to be a perfect hook size for this, and 3/16 ounce is another perfect weight for this, because you got to think about it. There's going to be 5 weights on one Alabama rig, so you multiply that 3/16 times 5, you got 15/16 of an ounce, so that's going to get pretty heavy. And I would say anywhere from 15 to 18 feet deep or less, I would go with a 3/16. And if you're getting really deep out there, then you could upsize your weight a little. Now one other tip that I want to suggest that you guys use is this middle swim bait here. I always like to do something different with it, and as you can see, I've got 4 of the little dippers in the white trash color, these guys, on the outside, and then on the middle one I've got the Sexy Shad Reaction Innovation Little Dipper. And I always like to do something different with that middle one, and a lot of times that middle one that's different, it'll get the strike. And what those bass look for is something that stands out. As a school of bait is swimming across their face, they look for the injured one or the weak one or the one that's a different size, and then that's what triggers that strike. As you can see here, I've got 4 4-inch swim baits around the outside, and then one 4.8 inch Kitech in the middle, and it's just something different. And you also notice if you start getting all of your strikes on this bigger style swim bait, then you may want to increase your swim bait size up, or if you're not getting any strikes on that one, you may want to go down in size and just change the color out. But I would always suggest doing something different with that middle swim bait. And the swim baits that I like to use are going to be the Kitech Swing Impact 4-inch in the sight flash color for the 4 around the outside, and then the 4.8 inch in the sight flash color for the middle. And then another really good swim bait that I like to use is the Little Dipper and the Reaction Innovations white trash, and then also the Sexy Shad color. Now, one of the last tips I want to give you is if you're going to fish Alabama rigs, one of the most annoying things is transporting these guys. And you can't put it, with all your other rods and reels, because it gets hung on everything. So I would suggest getting some type of cover like this, and I'll put links to all this stuff down in the description. Some type of cover that'll cover those hooks up, and it'll make it just like any other lure transporting it. So now we're going to roll into out on the water tips and techniques, where I give you information on what to look for on the graph, how to count down and catch them, and then at the end of this video I'll show you a few of the highlights of fishing an Alabama rig. And it's that beloved double up, and it's one of the best things in bass fishing when you catch 2 bass instead of 1. So we're going to roll with that footage now. Alright guys, I'm going to give you a few tips. These fish are hanging out right here in the 8 to 9 feet, and they're suspended about a foot off the bottom, so they're in about 7 feet. Well, I found that if I let my Alabama rig go down to I give it about a 5-second count, that puts it right up above their noses, and I've been getting multiple strikes on a cast. So I'm going to show you what I do, how I do it here. We're fixing to make a cast out, count down 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm bringing that bait right across their nose, getting multiple strikes on each cast here. There's one. Got him. This feels like a good one too. I think I got a second one coming in there trying to get it. Is this a chunky one? Yes, sir. This is definitely bigger than I thought he was. So there you go. Perfect little technique. Watch those fish on the graph. Pay attention to the detail. So pay attention to those details about how long to let it count down. That's putting that bait right up above their nose, and they can't resist it whenever it comes. Swings right in front of them. It's an easy meal, and they're eating it every time. All right, there's a double. Man, you can't beat that. There's the first one. And the second. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this Alabama rig video. I'm going to continue doing these educational style videos, so please leave a comment below and what you would like to see next. I'll cover any topic you guys care to see, so just leave a comment below. Now, you may be young and you may not be able to afford an Alabama rig. Well, you're in luck. It's Christmas time and I've got 2 perfect Alabama rigs rigged up, so I'm going to be giving these away. And I'm also going to be giving away over $500 in fishing gear. It's Christmas time and I want to give back to all of you guys, and especially you young anglers that can't afford a lot of the gear that I use. I'm going to be giving a lot of that away. Now all you have to do is go to our Instagram page. I'm going to leave a link in the description and all the rules will be there and you can see how to enter. We're going to be doing several giveaways over the next few days. So go check out the Instagram page and you'll find all the rules on how to enter there. And guys, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as always, good luck fishing, folks.